Right. Today I'm going to do my best to try and explain what it feels like to experience depression. Now there are definitely different levels of depression and also the duration of it. For example, like when I was at my very worst, I believe I went through depression for, I don't know, 2 years, I would say. About 2 years straight with just day after day of depression, and there was no relief from it. And when you feel depression like that day after day, it's a really, really tough thing to deal with. And sort of it wore me out so much that I was very, having suicidal thoughts and just not wanting to die, but just not wanting to live like that. Like that level of suffering was really difficult. Now that I'm on medication and I haven't experienced that long duration of depression, but I do definitely still experience periods. Like it could be, I don't know, a week or more. It could be a day. It can be a few days. I don't know. I haven't figured any of it out yet of, why and what am I doing maybe that's leading up to feeling depression. And sometimes it can be things like different factors in your life that can lead to it. But you know what? There are definitely times when you can get it for no reason. There's no external thing in your life that's contributing. Everything seems to be the same and running smooth. So yeah, I think there's just a lot of different experiences you can have with it. And what it feels like to be depressed, regardless if it's a long duration or just for a day, you still get that taste of feeling, you feel out of whack. You feel just not quite right. Like you feel like the way you usually feel, the healthy, normal way, you don't feel any of that. And so everything you do and everything, the way you look at things is just completely different. Physically, there's a lot that goes on. Sometimes you could be like a rag doll, that feeling of even just kind of holding your arm out, like it feels so heavy you just have to lay it down and not put any effort into it, like that rag doll feeling. And I'm trying to explain it. It's difficult. I know the people that have dealt with depression totally, I don't even need to really explain it. But they may be able to relate and kind of be like, yeah, I feel that way too, like it is depression. It's not my fault. Like I've suffered a lot with thinking it was all my fault. And of course there's things you can do to improve it a little bit, or at least give yourself some relief. So I guess that's where that fine line is of, how much is it you? How much is it your fault versus the illness? It's a tough thing to separate. It really is. Okay, I wanted to kind of explain the physical and mental. Okay, say you're sitting on the couch and you have to go into the kitchen, I don't know, to cook something or to empty the dishwasher, or you have to go in there. A normal mood, normal person, and even when I'm in a normal mood, you're on the couch and then you're like, oh yeah, I have to go in the kitchen, or, and then you just get up and you go in the kitchen. You don't even think anything of it, you just do it. And then you get on with your day, When you're depressed, you sit on the couch and you think to yourself, I have to go in the kitchen. And sometimes you won't get to the kitchen for a while because you're on the couch and you're constantly saying, I have to go in the kitchen, and then you just don't feel like you can. You don't have the energy. You'll be like, oh, maybe in 5 minutes or whatever it is. And eventually when you do get up to go in the kitchen, imagine that walking from the living room to the kitchen is like a big, huge mountain in between. So, like, you have to, like, climb a big, huge mountain to get to the kitchen. So that takes a lot of effort, and it's difficult, and it feels overwhelming. That's kind of what it feels like when you're depressed. Every little thing you do feels like you're climbing a mountain to get there. And not only physically, but in your mind. You're constantly thinking. You could be sitting on the couch doing absolutely nothing, and your mind is thinking. It's like negative self-talk, worrying about things, just dealing with that feeling of numbness and sadness and despair. It's tough. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm actually dealing with some depression today for sure. That's why I figured I would just try and explain it. Yeah, it's tough. I have to be positive and remind myself that, tomorrow may be better. Or it might take a few days, but it will get better. Even when I was depressed for that 2-year period, straight depression, the worst time of my life, there was a light at the end of the tunnel. It got better, and I had no idea it was possible. I felt like, I think why people talk about or think about suicide is because when you're in that state of despair, you think it'll be that way forever. And then, like anybody would not want to live like that. Like, that is quite normal if you think that's going to be that way forever, then of course it's too much. I totally get it. I do. But the thing is, people have to remember or realize that it will get better. Somehow, some way, the depression will decrease. You'll get a little relief sometimes. For me, it was reaching out to my doctor and being completely honest and saying, I'm having suicidal thoughts. And meanwhile, I was dealing with suicidal thoughts for like a lot of that 2 years. It was tough to keep on going. It really was. But I knew it was either, like, I was making plans to commit suicide, and I knew that was not good. That was totally not good. And not that I know if I would have ever went through with it or not, but that scared me, that I was that hopeless, So I told my doctor, completely honest with her, and she got me to the psychiatrist, and then I got medication, and it took about 8 months for it to even start to work, and then it did. And thank God. So there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. There is, somehow, some way. Even if you've been on a million medications, medication isn't always the answer. I think the doctors think it is. And for me, I believe that medication is what I need. But there's so many other things you can do to make things better in your life. Like, the statistics have proven that exercise helps, and eating healthy and getting enough sleep and being consistent in your life, consistent sleep and just different things like that, and low stress lifestyle as much as possible. All those things can help. But the thing is, like, for example, today that I'm dealing with depression, when you're in that state, nothing can help. It's tough to just get up and run around the block and exercise. It's like I said, walking from the living room to the kitchen to empty the dishwasher or make a meal is like climbing a mountain. So when you can't, even brushing your teeth, walking to the washroom to brush your teeth is like, it's climbing a mountain again. And then when you're brushing your teeth, you know, when you're normal, you're brushing along, you're just doing it and getting on with your day. When you're depressed, you're sitting there brushing your teeth and you're just constantly thinking. Depression is so much thinking, and it's just so exhausting. So my heart goes out to all the people that suffer, because it's a tough thing. And what makes it even more difficult is that a lot of society doesn't understand, so they judge you, and that's hard. It's hard, but you know what? The people who have dealt with it, even people who aren't depressed or don't have a mental illness, they just have a good heart, you know, and they're empathetic. I mean, there's a lot of support out there. So, I guess stigma, I don't know. I think stigma is a terrible thing, but with everything, there's always people who do understand, or who relate, or who are just empathetic and have a good heart, you know? So you're never alone. That's the thing. Well, I guess that's it. I just wanted to, because I'm feeling some depression, like it's not super duper bad, but it's there today, and I just wanted to kind of express my thoughts and just kind of the way it feels. So hopefully this will help somebody, and maybe if you have a family member that's dealing with it, you can, you know, understand them better. So, all right, take care, guys.